This video is brought to you by my patrons and by viewers like you. Greetings, groovy people! Welcome to Blue Dragon Art. I'm gonna tap this can and open it as I do this. Welcome! This is where I, the self-proclaimed Blue Dragon, talk about art-related topics that pique my interest. In last video, I know that I warned y'all that the next one was going to be more negative, as I was going to be discussing my thoughts and some things about, like, generative images. But, you know what? Unlike the vlog video that I kept saying was coming, I am actually totally going to finish that video. I will get it done, but guess what? Guess what? Guess what? I got busy with something much better, making real art for a real person who likes real things, including a traditional piece, actually. Although I sent it to them digitally because they didn't want the hard copy, which is fine. They had their reasons. But yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm still going to be doing that AI video. I know it's probably been talked to death, but you know what? I want to give my thoughts out on it, okay? And that's all I got to say about that. I don't care if it's been talked to death or not. I feel like getting it out for my own stress relief. But this video instead, what I want to babble about is the process of drawing two OCs from the indie webcomic I Love You Lin Peckett. Now, I know that I have shared this comic before on the channel. I actually keep up with it myself on ComicFury. I read it. I will put a link to it down in the description, and I'll talk a little bit about what it is, what it's about and all that before we get into the art part. Or my art part, I should say. But I've also done a collaboration with Fairy Tale Comics in the past, and actually, to be honest, they did way more of the work than I did. My part actually kind of sucked. I wasn't happy with how I drew Lin. I did some silhouetted background tables in the image. I'll put it up here. Their work was far superior to mine in that collaboration, but at the same time, it was really fun working with them. So yeah, before we get into the tech talk about the project that I worked on for them, it's like a two-part commission that they hired me for. I do want to give their comic a little bit of love and a shout-out as well. Well, that is the same thing. Love and a shout-out. It's the same thing in my opinion. Chapter 4 is actually just starting. It's a comic set in... This is all going to be paraphrased, y'all, just to let you know, as I start talking and then I interrupt myself. I interrupt myself when I talk to myself all the time, okay? It's very difficult to keep track of what I'm saying sometimes, even for myself. But, at any rate... Paraphrased, this is the description. Set in the modern world, which incorporates mythical creatures and beasts, the main character is an aspiring fashion designer. She's a chicken harpy, Lin Peckett. But while her dreams of entering the world of fashion may seem dashed, for now, she may instead be entering the world of romance after receiving a love letter from a secret admirer. As I said, I paraphrased what they already had written there, so just to let you all know, it's not like I came up with this description myself. Okay. I personally enjoy this comic, as I was saying. I love it for the artwork. I like the clear paneling. Their website is fucking fantastic, by the way. Also, like, you can just see how much care they put into this comic. Whenever they're having, like, a new chapter, they'll update the image and, like, the progress bar to keep readers informed on what's going on. Man, it's just a fucking fantastic website without even, like, getting into the comic. I like the vibrant colors that the artist uses, and, of course, the characters and their fashion. Lin is always, like, super cute, and you can tell that the artist also invests a lot of time and care into the fashion. And, you know, if you know me, I've done a couple videos talking about fashion, and I've done a fashion book for my character Kana, so I like fashion. I mean, I don't like the fashion industry, but I like the expression of oneself through the clothing that they wear. Something which is, like, valued from cultures all around. It's not even that I like shit on fashion, the fashion industry in the West. It's just that I don't like a lot of the practices and, like, some of the stuff, you know. As long as it's an expression of what the artist or what the... Well, they're an artist, but what the designer is doing, that's cool. But there's a lot of stuff that I take qualms with, okay? But we don't need to get into that discussion because that's not what this is about. I do like fashion. Anyway, I also like Edith, who is one of the other main characters. They're really cool. And this specific character is very kind. I like their design, much like I like Lin Peckett's design. But yeah, it's starting off pretty fun with a colorful cast of characters. So far in the comic, there's at least 4 characters. And you can kind of get you definitely get an immediate vibe for, like, their personalities, even for the ones that, like, haven't had, like, a lot of screen time yet. So if you want to check it out, it's on ComicFury. It's also on Webtoons. I don't read a lot of stuff over on Webtoons. Actually, I never... Like, I occasionally catch up with this one comic that I like by the dude who did Ibrahim Coil. But yeah, I don't, that's the only comic that I read over there. It's hard for me to read. I don't know. And Ava's Demon, sometimes I catch up with it whenever I'm getting sidetracked, you guys. What the hell? It's been so busy. Everything is always so busy. Okay, let's get to part 2. Let's talk about the commission. I have not even taken drink 1 of my beverage here. My tasty beverage, actually, it's extremely dry. It's a hard cider. It is so dry, you guys. I actually ended up giving one to Bradman, but it's fine. Anyway, okay, setting that aside. Wow, that's just setting the tone for this video, y'all. Hey, I'm having fun, okay? It's Monday. I'm getting to work. I want to talk about the work that I did on this commission. It's actually a 2-parter, as I was trying to say. One of them was to be digitally colored. It's a flat chibi piece. Flat art. What I mean by flat is there's no, like, shading, no tints, no shadows or tints. So it's like a flat color. They wanted one that was going to be of Lin and Edith as chibis. So that was one part of the commission. And then the other one, they wanted to see what it would look like if I had traditionally colored a full body flat image of Lin herself. So those are the 2 criteria. Actually, there's more criteria, but those were what the job was. It took me about 6 hours, roughly, give or take. As I didn't time myself at the coffee shop. A couple weeks ago, I was working on the full body of Lin at the coffee shop, and I didn't pay attention to how long I was there because I was having coffee and a bagel, and I was just enjoying my time sketching. So I didn't really, get to include that in like the hours, but the whole thing took about roughly 6 hours, I would say, over a span of 2 weeks, because they weren't rushing me. They wanted me to take my time and wanted me to have fun with it, which I really appreciate that. Fellow artists, they oftentimes get it. They get it. But yeah, they were really nice about, having me take my time. And I needed a break from working on my own comic because some of you might know that I've been trying to get the buffer through the end of the year, and I'm getting very close, but I really needed a break. And I also needed to break from working on my submission to the winter ComicFury. Oh my gosh, it's like 12:30. Honest to God, you guys, this is like my first drink, and I don't have any more drinks. I'm just having like one hard cider because we don't have any like seltzers. We're out of everything. The snack drawer is empty. The fucking fridge is empty. Man, I need to get my ass to the grocery store. It's just because I haven't been going to the grocery store. It's nothing like, I'm not like in dire straits, y'all. It's just my lazy ass. I've been so busy doing shit that I haven't really... We skipped the grocery store. Bradman got some stuff that was on my list, and we've kind of been skipping the store the last 2 weeks. Oh my God, I need to go. I hate shopping, y'all. Anyway, I told you this was going to be that kind of video. I don't care. I'm keeping it real. This is me. Sometimes I'm goofy and flaky like that. But yeah, I needed a break from like working on my submission, which I hardcore need to get done this fucking week, y'all. Shit, man, the deadline's coming up. I was going to be like done in August, and I'm not. Anyway, so let's go ahead and discuss how I worked on this commission. First and foremost, I wanted to do the chibis first, and they didn't care which one that I worked on first. So, working on chibis because chibis, they're fun, they're cute. I really like to do like cute artwork when I have the time to. What I really liked about the commission was that there was clear communication of what the commissioner wanted. They knew exactly what they wanted. They gave me clothing references and direction on what they were looking for. They even gave me color samples for the digital one. So, I was given some creative freedom, obviously, to draw the characters in my style, but through my own, interpretation, and through my, I shouldn't say and through my own interpretation. But, especially on the chibi, they gave me a lot of freedom. Because they were like, this is what I want them dressed in, and the colors and stuff, and some of the accessories, but, other than that, you can have them, interacting however you want. But, yeah, they gave me a lot of clear direction, though, which is so helpful, because when you're able to articulate what you're looking for, you're more likely to get a closer approximation of what you want from the artist, while also giving a little bit of leeway, right, for how the artists work and what their style is. So I gotta say that I really appreciated that, seriously. And I've most of the commissions that I've had over the years, I don't get a lot of them, but like most of the people have been pretty fucking chill. It hasn't been, since college that I had a really kind of, I wouldn't even say negative, but like non-successful commission because the scope of what the project was not something that the, person writing really understood, like, regarding comics. But like, yeah, it's been like years since I've had a bad experience with a commission, if that makes sense. So, I mean, yeah, I really appreciate people who, have a lot of patience, but also like a lot of clarity on exactly what they're looking for. So when I tackle something like this, I'm working on it in the background. I've been working on it in the background as I babble. Obviously, if you're watching the video, you see that. But I want to kind of interrupt what I'm doing here to kind of show you that what I do is I start with brainstorming, and my form of brainstorming when it comes to something like this is sketching. Sketching to familiarize myself with the characters, with their features, and sketching to kind of like figure out what their poses are going to be and how I want to depict them and what other elements are going to be in the image. So when you look at these sketches, the first thing you're going to notice is that they're fucking garbage sketches because I'm not looking to like have perfect proportions. I'm just literally spewing my ideas out in a visual manner. It's a lot like if you brainstorm if you're brainstorming for writing. I don't know if you all still do this nowadays or if you did it back in the day, but like we had to brainstorm, and our brainstorming in class was just writing everything down. Didn't have to even be a complete sentence. It's just getting the ideas out there and then organizing them later and kind of bouncing off from that, or I should say launching off from that. Some of us bounce, some of us launch. I don't know. I'm probably more of a bouncer if we're being honest. But I know that they look bad. This is how I work. It's just, as I was saying, real quick and messy, real quick and dirty ideas to get the gist of, like the height difference between the characters and to get inspired to plan out the sketch so that I'm ready to do like the actual work on it, like the skilled work on it, or more skilled work, I should say. So in the second set of sketches, actually the third, to be honest, I'm not even going to show you the first sketch because it's so bad. You'll only see it when I do my sketchbook tour. I'm too ashamed to show it to you right now. I'm not even sure if I sent it to Fairy Tale Comics. I think I kept that one to myself, but y'all will see it when I do that sketchbook tour in a couple months probably, or maybe next year. But yeah, the last page of this sketch that I'm going to put up now, that's when I determined where I was going to place the characters and how I was going to have them pose. And I decided, since the clothes were already instructed to have stars on them, that it might be fun to have Edith and Lin pictured or around interacting with a star. At first, my thought was to kind of have them, with like a heart in the background. But then I was like, no, I drew the heart even. And then all of a sudden I was like, duh. Bing! Edith has a star on her sweater. Lin is going to have a star on her buckle. So, yeah, it would really help tie the image together to have them interacting with one large star to kind of add a little bit of contrast and have a tiny bit more going on than just having the characters standing next to each other. Not that there would have been anything wrong with that, but that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to have that in the background because I thought it would look really cute with the rest of the chibi image. So then after the planning stage, I actually sketched the characters. But before that, because you guys, before that, because the characters were going to be interacting with the star, I had to draw that star. And yeah, I could have printed it out and traced it, right? That was something I could have done very well. I mean, I also could have drawn it in Photoshop with straight lines and everything, or used a stamp print and then printed that off and sketched it so that I could know where to place the characters. All of these are things that I could have done. But did I do that? No. And do you want to know why? There's 3 reasons. I wanted the challenge. I wanted to better incorporate the characters into the star. And by that I mean I wanted the line width to be the same. And I don't work with brushes like a lot of digital artists do. There are brushes that I work with, obviously, but I'm using a mouse and everything. So everything that I would be doing would be it would be more stiff than if I actually used my hands and my measuring tools to draw the star. And then the third reason was I wanted to be able to think back to myself and admire how I problem solved how to draw a halfway decent frickin' star and think, yep, I did that. That shit was me. Okay, so after getting the star down, that's when I went ahead and launched into sketching the characters individually. I didn't draw them together, and I didn't draw them on the star either because I didn't want to fuck up my star that I'd drawn, okay? So I used my light box for that to, place the characters and then finish fleshing them out and getting them ready. And then once I had all the characters like sketched out, then I ended up inking them all individually. I inked the star, I inked the characters, and I compiled them in Photoshop together. I put them together in Photoshop. Now, I could have done that traditionally. I could have done that by using my light box and tracing, instead of like inking the star immediately, I could have traced the characters onto where I had started sketching the star on that same paper, and then like inked it from there and scanned it in. But I decided to compile it in the computer because I already went through the effort of hand doing the star. So I was like, I want to make sure that I'm getting this done, getting the progress done, showing my work to the commissioner and showing them that I'm working on it. And I also, I'm not gonna lie, I was just really excited to fucking color this. Okay, let's just be honest. I don't always like coloring, but I sometimes do. I don't know. It's kind of a combination of things. I don't know what is my least favorite part of, I feel like I've said it in a video before, but like, it's really hard because it kind of oscillates. I don't really know if I have a least favorite part of art. Like, there definitely are, but like, at any rate, I was actually really excited to sketch this. I think my least favorite thing is the screen tone, but it has to be done. It has to be done, right? So when I got the opportunity and the time to like color, that's what I was looking forward to doing. Because again, I already had like some of the color samples. And also I wanted to see what the piece was going to look like, because as I was sketching and things were starting to come to life, it really was getting me hyped up and excited to like finish the commission, right? So yeah, then I colored it, and I did a background too. Now, I didn't have to do a background because that was not part of the commission. And I also made sure to check with the commissioner. They did want it on like a transparent background for their website. But again, I was having a lot of fun. I decided that I would do a little extra work because I can use that background. If they didn't want it, I knew that I would use the background for something else, or I can use the background for something else. So I had a lot of fun like playing around, coming up with like a background, just using like filters and different things in Photoshop to kind of loosely try to create like the feeling of Starry Night without detracting from the characters. Again, that's not something that I was paid to do. That was what I wanted to do. Because, funny thing is, I like making art and I like playing around with different backgrounds and stuff. It's something that I find enjoyable. So, yeah, they did not, like, ask for that or anything. And I will probably use that, like, in my comic or something because I knew they weren't, like, wanting that. Not that they didn't like it. They liked it fine. They liked it fine. That's not what I'm saying. But at any rate, sometimes I just go gangbusters because I'm having fun. What the fuck does that mean? What does going gangbusters mean? Is that from, like, an old game show?
Calling the police, calling the G-men, calling all Americans to war on the underworld. Universal presents Gangbuster.
Well, usually I know, like, old fucking sayings, but this time I apparently do not. Okay, so the latter part of the commission was done similarly, so instead of, like, the brainstorming, actually, there was a lot more clear, I mean, not more, but there was even more clear instruction on what they were looking for. They wanted a very specific pose for, like, this reference that they gave me. They had the outfit already picked out. So I had less brainstorming that I need to do for this character, and that's why, rather than like using the sketchbook for any brainstorming, I just went straight to work on it at the cafe that I was at that day. So the sketching process, the inking process, one of the main things that's different for this one was that it was traditionally colored. They very specifically wanted to see a traditional piece of artwork. And so what I ended up doing was using a combination of both Copic markers and my inks. Now, the reason why I used the Copic markers is because I had an experience when I was commissioned last year. I think it was last year. And I did a video on that, so the link for that is going to be down in the description. It's for the comic Keith and Jeremy's Mystical Mysteries. Go check that out. It's a great fucking comic, by the way. When I was doing his commission, it was all traditional, and while I can mix inks to do skin tones, what I was finding was that once, if you don't mix enough of it, then you got to remix it and it might not necessarily match properly. But also, it was, I mean, I don't know. I'm clearly the problem here. I was having problems with some of the skin tone inking, and I didn't want to, like, you know, since this wasn't going to be mailed to them, I decided I was going to go ahead and use my Copics instead of mixing up that paint and, like, messing up my ink job and everything. I also was finding that, like, for some reason, part of it would be more heavily pigmented than others, and I don't know if it was because I wasn't mixing it right, I wasn't stirring it right. I was pretty sure I was using the same brands of ink. Sometimes if you mix and match brands, that can kind of, like, have an effect on how well they mix together, but I don't think that was the problem. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but it made it kind of patchy is what I was saying, and that really pissed me off about the piece that I did last year, although I was able to fix it, obviously, but I feel like it took me longer to get the commissioner their work. I mean, besides all the stippling and stuff. But, like, I feel like it took me longer, and I was more scared of fucking up the piece. Although it's never really fucked up. I could always, like, trace it and start over and redo it. But I decided, since I was given free reign to use whatever materials I wanted, and since I wasn't going to mail it to them, and it didn't necessarily need to be light fast, if that makes sense, because Copics are not light fast at all. Alcohol markers will fade. No matter if you keep them in a drawer or not, they will fade. So, because they wanted this delivered digitally, I knew that I could use Copic markers for parts of it. So that's what I did with Lin's hair and her skin tone. I might have done it on some other parts. I think I used it on her lips also. I turned away from the mic, I'm sorry. I think I used it on our lips also. But then the rest of it, I used my colored inks. And I do like to mix colors, don't get me wrong. And in fact, the colors that I picked were fucking perfect because they're colors that I had, like, the perfect inks for. Like, that beautiful kind of deep, it's almost like a lime green, but it's like the inner of a lime, but it's a little deeper. Maybe it's like more like an avocado green. I love that satiny shirt that the reference woman is wearing. And then the dress was like a brown suede. And these are all colors that I have. And I knew I was able to, like, kind of replicate the textures with the ink. So once I got the Copics out of the way, Copics for me are relatively easy to use. You get used to learning how to blend them. It's very similar to, like, when you color with colored pencils, which is what I was taught in, like, school. You know, you do the little swirls, little squiggles, and that will help keep the coverage even whenever you're doing your coloring job with, like, colored pencils. So I do, like, the same thing with, like, Copics quite often to kind of make sure that the coverage is even and it's not too terribly patchy. But then, like, for the inks, I was able to, like, really go ham and have some fun with, like, mixing the colors and figuring out how I want to express the materials, like the different fabrics that the character was supposed to be wearing. So, like, the shirt is satin. So even though it was, like, supposed to be like a flat colored piece, one of the things that I knew was going to be important to make the material look a little three-dimensional, look like what it's supposed to do, is to make sure there was some kind of depth. So they were getting a flat piece, but I instead used, like, some hatching in, like, what would be the folds of the shirt or some of the areas that would be shaded. And that's kind of a way that I can cheat and, like, still do a colored flat color image, but also add a little bit of shading at the very least. I did add some highlights because, again, the material, I really wanted the material to look like it was satin. I think I used some highlights in Lin's eyes also. I'm not sure, but I thought I did. But yeah, that was one thing that I did because satin is a very slick material. Meanwhile, the dress was suede, so I wanted it to look a little patchy. So when I painted with the brown ink, I did it in the swirls again, but I wasn't too concerned with getting like a solid coverage. When you're wanting to depict something like suede, it's kind of a rough material, right? So the light is going to be hitting it a little bit differently in some parts of it than others. So you'll get, like, kind of lighter looking patches and kind of darker looking patches. And I was able to simulate that by just kind of doing the swirly thing again. And not making sure that I had, like, a solid coverage. Where there's a little bit of gaps, where it looks a little bit lighter, that's okay. That's fine because that's going to simulate the material, right? And again, I had a little bit of hatching to indicate a little bit of volume for the character, a little bit of volume, a little bit of shading in places where, you know, it wouldn't necessarily be hit by light. There wasn't like really a light source, again, because it's like a flat colored image, but like places where it would obviously not have light hitting no matter what direction it was being shined on the character. So yeah, that's how I tackled this piece. And then of course I always forget my signature. I forgot my signature for the digital one, so I had to like sign it and like scan it in and add it in. I did remember to put my signature on the traditionally colored piece. And I was kind of, you know, the thing of it is I'm not like a super perfectionist, but when I'm doing work for other people, I do want to like present my best work possible to my skill level. So like, I don't know how much of this I'm going to leave in the video, but like, I kept like panning in like, oh, I've got the finished piece. And then I would walk away. I'm like, oh shit, I want to add this. Oh fuck, I'm going to do this. Oh my God, oh wait, I just reread. They said I could do whatever they want with their hair or with her hair. So then I went back in and I had a little bit more fun with like adding some details, like with the hair thing and adding some highlights to that. And like I kept going back to the fucking piece because I wasn't done with it. And then finally I had to tell myself, stop it. You're done. You need to send this to them so that they can have their part 2 of their commission. But yeah, like, I don't know how much of that, at time of recording, I haven't edited the video part yet. I've just dropped it into the editor. We'll see. Maybe I'll leave some of that in so that you can see that I kept thinking I was done. But then I was like, no, I can add this. Oh, I can do that. I want to perfect this a little bit more. I want to do that. I want to do this. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. I'm going to sum this up here by saying I had a lot of fun with this commission. I really appreciate the support. And if y'all out there want to like help support Fairy Tale Comics, they have a wonderful comic. It's like a romantic comedy fantasy. And I really enjoy it. It's very lighthearted, but I think there's going to be like some heartstrings tugged. There may be some more going on later on. It's very early in the series. So, I mean, it may not always be lighthearted. I don't know where they're going to go with this, okay? But I have been enjoying it, and I like the characters. I like the world. And if you want to check it out, feel free to. Link down in the description, as I've said, probably like 3 times now. I don't know. Okay, the next video is definitely going to be my thoughts. Okay, I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to be working on my AI thoughts and why even if it's not pertaining to artwork, I'm not going to use it. Like there's writing AI. There's all kinds of like other uses of AI that like are not in a clinical setting. And I'm going to talk about like that specific type of AI. And I'm not sure if it's going to be next video. I'm hoping to have it done, but I've got a big fucking trip coming up in October. Oh my God, there's just so much to do all the time, you guys, always. So, I don't know. We'll see if I get it done. We'll see. If I do, if not, I've got like another idea. I've got another thing. I just found something that I want to record, that I want to talk about from when I was taking a student at large art class. But yeah, anyway, that's another video for another story for another video for another time. All right, I'm out of here, y'all. Sorry if this sounds a little manic. I'm really not manic. I need to get this shit recorded, and I need to get it edited, and I need to get it done because I got other shit that I got to work on, right? But I also want to do this. It's like I want to do everything. I want to do it all. But you can't, right? So, anyhow, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Wow, I'm a hot mess. Look, you can be a hot mess and you can do art and you can do whatever. Okay, I'm out of here. Peace and love. Fare you well and keep on trucking.
Gangbuster.
Coverage of oh shit, my tab just went in there. I shouldn't be fucking with that. My hands, I've got to be doing something with my hands. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me, y'all. Well, you have no idea what I just dropped the tab of my drink into my can. Oh well, it's fine. I won't swallow it. I'm an adult. I'm barely an adult, y'all. I don't know how I function.